is happening when it starts. There will be one lag there. Okay, starting soon is showing. Okay. Meanwhile, let me post it on. So,
So I should go.
required, not required. If there is any requirement, okay. If you want to check the comments or something, you can go. But as of now, there won't be any comments, so don't worry. If there is any requirement, I'll also tell you.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Okay, now where is that?
LinkedIn on my phone also, so I can.
Yeah, you can always do that. Okay, tones.
Does it show something on the link? I mean, Restream. It says live.
Which one in LinkedIn is it? LinkedIn is come on. LinkedIn is on. Just what is the name? It is okay. LinkedIn is there. Let me just finish this post on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Looking forward to see you there. Okay. Should I keep WhatsApp ads? I'll just turn off the sound there. So. Okay. So I think we are on, and let's do this. Seven
It
twenty-eight.
says 25 attendees.
25. Those are the people who have accepted my invite. Did you send any invites?
Yeah, yeah, but not many.
I even I was giving a we are live on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
We are
and
live.
it is 1 minute to
So
go. Either we wait for a minute or we start.
okay, let's go live. 7:30. Another 1 minute. Okay, we are we are live. So let's get on with it. Let's get on. Okay,
Yeah,
conversation. We are on.
good.
Okay, then. Hi, folks. Here we are on our first episode of the the episode is of the hiring and sales hour, and The episode is, I think we should turn off LinkedIn. It is becoming a disturbance. Or you have to, I just turn
There
off.
is an echo, I guess.
Yeah, that LinkedIn comes afterwards. So, okay. So here we are, 7:30, and our first episode of hiring and sales are. Uh, I have my host with me here today, Kumaresan. I'll be introducing him soon. So,
Hi.
why this topic of storytelling? Why are we discussing even storytelling? Now, storytelling isn't just for children, isn't just for movies. Storytelling is how we influence decisions. Storytelling is how we build trust and create opportunities in every profession. Now, whether you are in a negotiation, whether you are closing a deal, or whether you are discussing your salary, how you come across, how you present your narrative, how you present your story is a craft, and it goes a long way in how you are accepted, how you build trust with with the person on the other side of the table. As they say, facts sell, facts tell, but stories sell. In hiring, a well-told story can showcase your value well beyond your job description, your resume, and storytelling is in every aspect of our lives. So that is why today's discussion is so crucial. Now, let me just give you a heads up about myself. Who am I and who is my colleague? Kumaresan. Kumaresan is a professional from the world of publishing. He is called as, in short, he is called as CK, a seasoned professional, now an entrepreneur, a professional for 28 years. He is now an entrepreneur in the world of corporate travel and publishing. He runs two firms, Edifice Travels and South South Shore Publishing. He brings in tons of experience in the world. He was earlier with Oxford and many other marquee publishing houses. He specializes in academic publishing. And as for myself, this is Prakash Francis, and I've been a seasoned recruiter for over 25 years now. Worked in organized recruitment firms, and now been running my own firm for the past 23 years, Enterprise Hiring Solutions. And I realized that I have been finding the perfect fit, and for both for candidates and for the organizations. And I've not just been hiring, I've been telling stories and influencing decisions through the power of my stories. From guiding professionals on strategic career moves to advising companies on candidate fit, I realized that just like in sales, numbers and resumes may open doors, but it is stories that seal the deal. So here we are, Prakash Francis and C. Kumaresan, and let's get going with the storytelling. Hello, Sir Kumaresan, how are you?
Hi, Prakash. Thanks so much for the host, and it's a be together and to talk about the art of storytelling. And thanks for your very nice introduction about we do. I mean, about yourself and myself. And I think this evening will be interesting because we'll be talking about the storytelling and its importance and essence, be it in hiring or in the space of sales. And I believe that this would be a good evening for the participants and also for the people. I'm sure the audience will have some questions at the end.
Absolutely,
Thanks,
absolutely.
thanks, Prakash.
And just a quick word for the audience. If you have any questions, just type it in. You can send it on the the bar available for you to type in your questions. And just a quick fact that I forgot to add was that Kumaresh and myself go over 97, 25 years plus, 25 years plus. We both passed out from the same college,
Mm.
did our MBA together, and batchmates. And now we are got back in touch after a long time. In fact, I think we got reconnected during the 25th anniversary of ours, and now here we are. So yes, cooperation. So let's start it off, and perhaps you might want to ask me something before I throw in a question for you.
Yeah, before joining or starting off with the questions, yeah, it is good reminder that we got reconnected and we are the batchmates, the MBA department, and we reconnected during the reunion a century later. That's a long time, but yeah, so that has kept
Yes.
us going. The in between, what had actually happened was we have gained experiences in our own respective domains. Prakash in the recruiting and hiring for corporates, and me trying to publish books, and now I would call it content management and content selling. Anyway, so to keep the evening live and engaging, and to align with our title and the theme of selling, I'll shoot the first question to Prakash. So Prakash, may I ask you, like, why do you think candidates with compelling career stories get hired faster?
Yeah, I think
Can you hear me?
I can absolutely hear you.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you, Kamlesh, for a very all-encompassing questions. This is something that I believe the best way to connect people, the best way to relate to people is through stories. Somehow there is something about stories, the way the stories are able to transfer our emotions, the way they were able to transfer our feelings, that we get connected. And as they say, hiring managers don't just look for skills. When we are hiring, we don't just look for skills, we look for how we are able to, as a hiring manager, how we are able to relate to the candidate, how we look for impact. So for instance, if the candidate is presenting his story, and as he presents his story, the hiring manager, there is a kind of a sequence going through the hiring managers, in the hiring managers minds, or whoever else is there in the hiring space across the table. And when it starts connecting, when it starts relating, and what are the things that typically relate, what are the things that relate are the usual emotions that we all face, the struggles, the challenges, the uncertainty. So when stories are able to bring these factors across, rather than saying that my target was so much and I achieved this, if you go into the nitty gritties of, okay, my targets was this and we set out, and during that time the COVID hit. I'm just pulling up a story. So during the time the COVID hit, there was a slowdown in our business, sales were not happening. And what we decided to do was to go where the people were. People were shut down in their houses, and they were not able to reach out. They were not able to talk. So we decided to go to the people's houses. We started online. We started presenting our products and our services online. We did sales pitches to people wherever they were, and we created a great online shop, online presence on the e-com space. So you are building, you get it. This is something that I'm creating. This is something that I'm creating off the cuff. But when a person talks about what actually really happened in his life, the challenges, and COVID is a huge, it's a very everyone knows about COVID, but it need not necessarily be the event. It is the emotion that people can relate with better. When we talk about challenges, one way is to say is that I felt this was my target, and this was a steep target, especially considering the industry. Instead, how was the target impacting you, or how did you counter the target on a at the very basic level? So this was a target, and I thought, okay, even thinking about the target is too much. So what we did, I sat with my boss, I asked for his permission, I took some time from him, and basically he has been in the industry for over 25 years, so I needed his inputs. I sat with him, and then I created a plan for I asked his help in creating a plan for the first 3 months. And then we brought it down further as to what exactly I needed to do tomorrow and this week. I just kind of brought it down to those nitty gritties, and I was least bothered about whether I was going to achieve the target or not. But I was zoned in. I was fully in. I was trying to understand the industry. I was asking my people, my boss. I was asking him to give leads as to whom to talk to. Initially, it was just about exploration. It was just about research, and it was just about meeting people, having conversations. As I started having conversation, my mind also became clear. I was able to understand where the product could be, where the product could be placed, where the market could be, where how the market could be reached. So I'm this is, if you are presenting a story going into the depth of it, to the nitty gritties, and along the way you might have challenges. The boss might be traveling, or your friend took off. So instead of just one target, I was supposed to have I was supposed to do the follow-ups and the coordination work for my friend who was not available. So you get into the details of what exactly you did, and what were the challenges you faced and how you overcome them. When we are able to relate, when we are able to come up with these kind of stories about our whatever is there in the resume, whatever is there in the and important thing is, I'm getting into the details of recruitment itself, but since your question was about why stories are compelling, I wanted to share this, that if you are into the full details of the kind of work that it is, that is why when I'm advising candidates about preparing their resume, or preparing for interviews, I tell them to build a big, I mean, this is the accepted best practices, to create a journal of exactly what you did in your work. And when you are working on it, also to maintain as many details as possible, the conversations, the people you met, when you are able to build into that, you come across as someone who is authentic, who is honest. You build that trust, because of course any relationship is built that trust. And if you are able to build that trust as a candidate with the hiring manager, I think you are going to your stories are going to make a big impact. Whatever you are saying is going to make a big impact, and you are going to get a more attentive, more receptive audience, and you're going to influence that much better. The influence, you are becoming an influence of the end decision that much better. So that is why stories, getting into the nitty gritties of what were the feelings, what were the challenges, what were the little gains. On a day-to-day basis, we will not have big gains. In fact, those big gains are more for the papers or more for the social media than for ourselves. For on a day-to-day basis, it will be the small gains, a small yes. You are chasing a client for 20 times, 30 times. The client is saying no, and then finally he says yes. There have been times, there have been cases when I have been just on a low level, interacting with candidates for interacting with clients for over 5 years. The client just doesn't care a hoot about us. And finally, one day they say, okay, you have been around. Why don't we? I mean, he doesn't say that. What I'm saying is, the client says, okay, why don't we meet? And after 5 6 years of not having met the client, just being in his radar, somehow we were there in the radar. We just said hello at times, we met. And then the client says, okay, let us meet. I have a requirement. Sometimes it so happens that the kind of positions, the kind of mandates that we have been praying about, they just fall in our lap thanks to these kind of, what should we say, presence or this kind of being in the client's radar. No, I think I'm just digressing. So what I'm trying to say is, I think we have to be alive to the fact that we have to be constantly, as especially as business owners, even as candidates, but definitely as business owners, we have to be constantly presenting ourselves in a manner, constantly telling stories, small stories, not big stories, not required, small wins, small happenings, and we need to be constantly doing the stories so that we build trust, we build relationships, and we grow our business. I hope I have answered the questions, but we'll
Yeah,
you.
I think so. You've the points which I'm sure the audience would have got from the answer, as well as what I could pick are a couple of things like, you touched upon your presence, the building of trust in relationship, and using your experiences as stories. It reflects and exhibits the uh, real life situation for the other person to perceive what is the meaning behind the story and why you are looking for what probably the compelling part. I think you've, if I may sum it up in a different way for the benefit of the audience. So yeah, Prakash, it was good to know, and I'm sure the audience who are listening to us would also be keen to know why these kind of stories and even the live sessions like ours are important for anybody who wants to learn more about the art of storytelling or any sphere or any department or any industry for that matter. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, CK. So let's just move on, and let me ask you a question. Since you are coming from a sales space, and sales is the place where maximum, I would say, business storytelling happens. So, how about throwing some light on why do stories work better than facts? I mean, I'd like to hear it from you. I gave a twist about the hiring side, but how about you sharing about your experience in sales and how stories work better? If you can also show some examples, throw some examples there. Thank you. Yours.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Prakash. Do stories work better than facts? So generally, now trying to answer from from the context of sales, I think generally sales is data driven and it is more facts and figures. And there is no denial to that fact driven by facts and figures. And every salesperson individually and as a team and an organization always look for numbers and results. But the question actually is why work better than facts? I would put it like this before quoting some experiences and examples. To reach that fact, to actually accomplish or achieve some numbers or goals, which any small business like ours or large organizations where I have also worked and the experiences always come with that point that how do you reach that goal? How do you reach that a number or a data? Ultimately, data speaks, as you said. Please sell. So only if you sell, the data
Correct.
will speak. So that is the of it. So the stories are important because generally when we go and meet a client, the early days, if I could use my 2 decades plus of experience, the simple talk about the product and go and hit talk about the benefits, USPs at that point. The customer, in that case, the conversation the client would have possibly in a couple of minutes. Like, you come back and then wait for the results to happen. and subsequent
Mm.
follow-ups and follow-ups. Sometimes it is disappointing to know it may not work or wouldn't have worked. But as one progresses in life, one also learns to experience, or you may call it. But the real fact is, stories are important to pitch your product, and more important is the other, the client. In this case, the human being. So you have to first make a meaningful engagement, talk about couple of things, not just about your product. Talk about uh, talk about couple of things like to quote a few examples like about their office if required. Sometimes if the relationship is good, about just inquire about families and etc., then get into a conversation. And eventually, obviously, the reality is they know that you have come here to sell, but they also do not want to be sold. So you have to strike a very fine balance between how you can actually pitch your product or a service. So you have to use as let me pick some cue from what Prakash said on the recruitment space, telling about the experiences, telling about some of the conversations about I may submit just to say that how this would help them in their life. So the story could vary from one client to the other client. So I'll pick on some of the examples from my publishing experience, though now I'm an entrepreneur on publishing and travel space. On the publishing side, initially when you do, and primarily it's institutional sale, it's not a retail business.
Correct.
So we go in and the institution could be premier ones like the IIT or the Indian Institute of Science, university with affiliated colleges, etc., etc. So
Correct.
we try to sell a value where we say if you basically say it is a concept selling or an idea selling, and you tell it in the form of a story. So how do you or an idea is if this for the institution. So these are to define those this things. For example, if institution is subscribing or buying your product, let me take the content for that matter. Director or the librarian or the faculty or the dean of these are the stakeholders in an institutional business. They would obviously have limited time, and in that limited time, you should tell them that, for example, if I take an IIT, Indian Institute of Technology, obviously the research output is the key of their uh, own performance levels also. So
Correct.
your story should play into the fact that how research output
Performance.
of the faculty and student, and obviously also help them in the curriculum development through their faculty and teaching
Correct.
programs. If the story is weaved across these factors, that's what I said. If you sell this, then what is the output? Probably scenario. If India is where it is, then if position, if you have to go to the next level, say a few notches up in the research output, then these things are to be done. So the
Correct.
concept is already pitched to the client. Now we have not talked about the USP of the product, or we have not spoken about the price factor. So this is the difference between directly going and talking about this, engaging the customer. Then probably by then what I've explained now would have ended, because this is what 10 minutes of time or 5 minutes they would have given us. The next meeting would probably have probably the same or more stakeholders, and you build on the story. So it takes time. The storytelling is not like I go walk in, tell a
And tell
story
us.
and come out. The story it's like Netflix episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, if I'm able to relate it. So
Correct.
these
Yeah. I mean,
episodes play a very vital role till you go to episode 5 or 6, and a large selling say few lakh of rupees or dollars or few $100,000. It is not, again, when it goes in episodes, when the stakeholders are more. Similarly, it is have my colleague, my boss, or etc. to go and make a larger pitch. So this is exactly the nature of the storytelling. The facts still remain the facts. We are also aiming to accomplish something through the storytelling, and we are actually selling the benefit in different concepts and pieces and episodes.
And fantastic.
So this is how, and there are a lot of experiences on my own where I pick the IIT example where we have successfully been able to sell a large value deal to an
Okay.
institution. We have also been pioneers in my experience of creating a larger consortium for affiliated colleges, with the university being the interface between the users who are the colleges, students, faculty. And so this is also storytelling where you engage with the principals of various colleges and university as the authorizing affiliating body and decision making
Hmm.
body, and we being the users or the customers. So this is the benefit of storytelling, and this is learned over time. And I'm sure the audience who are listening to, and I think I'm also digressing. It's more than
No worries, not at all.
7 minutes, but I think this is the essence of storytelling as I could put it for the benefit of
Okay,
everyone.
fantastic.
Yeah,
I really liked a couple of things that you mentioned about this, connecting it with series. Like you mentioned, like stories build on each other. As you rightly put, it is not like you get into one meeting and then you kind of tell a story and connect with the person, and that's it. It's always you kind of create one episode and then you let it be, so that it opens up avenues for different episodes, and then some other episode, an opportunity opens up, and then you engage with that, whether it might be a different person or whether this person along with another, or you have multiple kind of episodes with it. Very interesting way of putting it. I mean, and I really appreciate the fact that you shared about how you are able to build on that, each build, whether
yeah,
it's in terms of making a kind of a path for your superiors to join in for for pitching a larger deal. Maybe sometimes it is not going to be an individual deal. It might be kind of a bunch of different departments coming together to close the deal. I'm just extrapolating. So interesting part. So now, in terms of what I was thinking was, if we were to create a kind of steps. So I mean, nowadays everybody will like steps. They want everything in quick
yeah,
bites. We have become storytellers by virtue of hanging around, by virtue of the years of experience in the field. We became. I mean, as you grow older, you become better and better storytellers, thanks to our whatever, spending time with friends or whatever. Now, if we were to give a quick, kind of steps for what should there be in a story, would you like to share something on this, or do you have any other questions for?
yeah.
We
I
can come
think
to this later on.
no, no. I will answer the steps. So what essentially is needed story? You need to have a you need to have a concept as to why and what is your goal. Maybe these are time consuming things because it's not like going and selling one deal at a time. Then the next thing is USP or a pitch to the story, like what you want to pitch. Like if I may go back to my Netflix and episodes thing, what you want to accomplish in the first episode and how do you pitch the concept, because you can't do all all in one. So it takes mind as to how you're going to do, or how best this meeting or the first meeting of whatever 30 minutes or 1 hour or 20 minutes to accomplish your step one. I would call it as step one. So they are clearly defined steps. And in the step two, you could position the value, the benefit, uh, etc. to the story. And maybe there could be multiple steps. I'll try to fix it or put it in three steps: the concept, the value or the essence or the benefit, and finally what would be the result. And in the third step, if you could incorporate some real life examples, like I gave you one or two examples of some university and all that. The first thing is the most difficult thing. Once the first thing is done, you should first accomplishment or your achievement to your new customer or a client reinforces their confidence than your confidence. We generally think that relevance or fit while sharing something, but in my personal experience, I would say sharing the experience of what you did with XYZ matters more. So your, I would say, if the first thing took 3 months to accomplish or 6 months to accomplish, the second project will be in half the time.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that's the steps of
Yeah.
the device. Yeah. So
Fantastic. So,
maybe
yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. You start, first step you mentioned is about the concept, or we can call it the challenge or that situation. What was the first situation, and
yeah,
then what was the uh, what was the kind of second would be what is the kind of
the values or the
transformation.
benefits you get out.
What did you
Yeah,
bring
yeah,
in?
sure. Yeah.
What was the change you brought or the transformation brought? And finally, could be the third one is the what is the actual benefit? And in this case, what happened? What was the result? If you can call it benefit or the result. CK, you are out of the.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You
I
turned
think
up.
there are
Okay.
some
Yeah.
internet. Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
fantastic. So thank you for taking the trouble to put it in a simple three-step formula for this. Uh, I guess now you
Maybe
might want
I'll
to.
ask another question, which is more related to maybe your recruiting or something in that domain.
Okay,
So, shall I ask you another one more question? You're
please
ready?
do, please do. I think we have time for one more, I guess, before we open it up.
So, do you think non-sales professionals can use storytelling or influence use storytelling to influence his chances of
Okay. Uh,
getting what he is looking for?
yeah, I guess it
I
again.
hope I'm.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I
I
hope
mean,
I'm. Yeah, yeah,
perfectly agree.
yeah.
Yeah, perfectly. So I guess we again kind of come circle back to the initial thing about how to get hired. We need to be better in storytelling, and it works not just. It actually is easier for salespeople to tell stories. I'm not. Why I'll tell you. Why? Because sales is a highly statistical, well, not statistical, data driven. I
Data
mean,
driven.
it's I you have a target. Data means, I mean, number driven. You have a target and you have achieved it or not. It's everything is black and white. I mean, did you achieve it? Did you not? If you achieved it, how did you achieve it? So you can build on it very well. Whereas for others, especially functions like, even for that matter, production is like that. There are targets, there are numbers. But most other functions, especially if you look at the service industry, you can't pinpoint as to what was your contribution or what was your achievement. So then it becomes that much more important for us to keep a track of what we faced on a day-to-day basis. That's why I was kind of mentioning, okay, that it is very important for us to get into the nitty-gritties of what we do, in terms of we need to the maximum extent quantify it, so that we are able to talk about it in terms of if there was a problem, why or where we fell short, or how we overcame it. So if we are able to track as to what we did on a day-to-day basis, on a week-to-week basis, and generally what happens is in an organization, in a week-to-week basis, every morning somebody will come, the boss will give you certain, these are the tasks, or some client somewhere firefighting might be happening, or some, we are most of the time in slightly less companies, it will be more of firefighting. The client drives it. He has a challenge, you go and solve it, or something is required. Whereas in more systematic organizations, there is straight away, if some firefighting is involved, some everybody knows what needs to be done. What, but in spite of that, we tend to get carried away by the flow of what is happening. We forget what we exactly did. Now, if we are able to keep track of that, we will, as a recruiter, as a candidate, if any in any field, if a candidate is able to keep track of that, as you rightly said, your sharing your experience is what is it is all about. If you are able to share your experience, what were you doing, what did you do, what was the exact problem you faced, or what was, you might be not having your software is not working. I mean, you're supposed to deliver something, and then your there is a challenge and the software is not working, or it is glitching, and the support team, ITIL team, is not able to do anything about it, or they are taking the time. Now, if you go and tell that to your client, the client is not going to be listening. So, what were you doing? What did you do to get around it? How did you present? Maybe you will not be able to do the entire project for the client, but at least you did something part of it. I'm just extrapolating from, I'm just creating a situation and sharing. These kind of details is what is a candidate is expected to present more often than not. Many times, of course, even sometimes very senior candidates, if I come across, if I ask them, they'll say, okay, I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that. No, as recruiters, we have to be really patient with them, digging through as to what is it, what did you do. Lot of people make the mistake of restricting themselves to what is written in the resume. This, I mean, there is a kind of a fear that if we talk too much, something will, they might blurt out something, and then the something wrong might happen. A lot of candidates face that, have that fear, so they end up not telling the simple things, or they feel that whatever they are telling is irrelevant. It is not like they have not achieved big things, so they, it might, in Hindi they say pol khul jayega.
Yeah, yeah.
In Hindi,
So
they try
that
to be very cagey about it,
hmm,
and it actually backfires. All you need to do is share what you did with the negatives, positives. Okay, you failed, you were not able to up to the mark in certain things, but you countered it, you did. So that kind of day to day, see, if you're surviving in an organization, that itself is a big plus for you. So nobody is going to question.
obviously.
So you have to be just a bit more open and share what was happening on a day-to-day basis. Many times, or most of the time, what happens is people forget what they have been doing, and it is very natural, because if you are, we are awash with information, we are awash with challenges on a day-to-day basis. Unless we are not noting down, unless we jot down what we are doing, and unless we refer back to it from time to time, we are going to, during interviews, we are going to forget what we did. So to forget, forget the details of what we did, so then it might actually come across as that you are fibbing, which is actually, which is something that, which is sad. You might have you would have done a
Yeah.
phenomenal amount of work, but the reason why, for some reason, you're not able to get into the details and present those details, and the other person is going to think that, okay, you are not detailed enough. So these kind of situations happen. Whatever be the field that you are in, whatever be the role that you are playing in any organization, there is another job waiting for you. So be clear to it is our responsibility to take the trouble to note down, and just like you're maintaining, balancing your account books, balancing your finances, I think you have to take the time to jot down the kind of tasks that you are doing, the kind of interactions that you are having, the kind of new learnings that you are having on a day-to-day basis, the kind of conversations. If you are not doing it, you are shortchanging yourself when it comes to interview. So in an interview, try to be as bring out as much of your experience as possible. That is what I would say, as you also put it, mentioned that uh, that is what is more. Somebody has shared a comment here. Professor Lakshman Rao Naguban
Yeah, yeah,
lecture going away from storytelling techniques. Well, sharing our stories, and we have also discussed about the three-step process for storytelling. If you have any specific questions in mind, Professor Lakshman, please feel free to share. This is not a session where we are teaching, because this is just going to be half an hour, 1 hour session, but it is a session where we are going to help you bring out your stories. Commemoration, I don't know. You might have to help me in structuring what I said. What about to sum it up?
no, I think, yeah. Uh,
Any field that you are in, you can present your experience. That is all that is required. But present your experience in a detailed manner, so that when the other person is fully able to understand, and when the other person is asking questions, you are able to substantiate it with data or details of. That is what I'd like to share.
Yeah, yeah. The only point I'd like to add before we move on to any other question, and also any opening the floor for audience, one point
Yeah.
I'd like to add or say is the storytelling, whether it is in the space of sales or in the recruitment, as we both, Prakash and me, come from these domains, is that these stories which we are trying to talk about in today's evening is more about real life experiences. It is not a story. It's not a story which is written out of imagination. That's what the difference I'm trying to. What Prakash also was trying to say is, share your experiences. Don't hold on to it. Don't worry about what could go wrong. That only means that you be very honest and share, because be it in the recruiting space, the recruiter is also wanting to make an assessment you would fit into an organization and how honest and transparent you would be for any role that you're being looked. Integrity is also seen there. So and somebody's telling us, I gave the example of some institution and all that. I couldn't have
Hmm.
that without gone through it myself. So that's what we are trying to emphasize of storytelling. Wherever your early career professionals or senior level, the message uh, emphasize here is stick and share your experience. That's it. There's some other question, maybe experiences to be converted to stories. Yeah, Professor Lakshman Rao, correct. That's what I was trying to articulate by or extending answer or conversation. Yeah, that is it. And maybe one question, or we open it to Prakash, because we are 50 minutes to from the
We
start.
have just 15 minutes for the ending, is it? Okay. Just one question, since Professor Lakshman also brought it up in terms of digressing. Let us just come back to the your theme. So just one question, which is very specific. I thought I'll just, what mistakes do people make when it comes to telling story? What do you think are the mistakes that probably we should keep in mind and avoid when it comes to presenting our stories?
See,
Kamlesh.
stories, yeah, thanks, Prakash. Stories, in my opinion, should have a personal, first, as I was explaining or talking, it should have some real life, real experiences. It should have some emotional expressions, the way you talk. It's not like you're coming and reading out something of that. What you have gone through, that expression should go with an emotion, should be engaged, and they should be interested to listen to your, even if it is a 2 minute story.
Correct.
The other thing is generally it's digressed to the product, because ultimately at the sub focused than
Story
story
focused.
focused.
Correct.
If I may, if I
Correct. Correct.
if that way, sometimes we digress and make it too long. The essence is to keep it crisp, short, and as we would have read a lot of theories, and we would have seen videos. The messages, the audience do not have the patience to go through. Even if you're going to talk for 10 minutes, I think the first 2 minutes are more important than the last 4 minutes or
Absolutely.
6 minutes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you should be able to put it in a capsule in the first 60 seconds to 120 seconds. So that means you should have, besides having the story in your mind, you should know how to and how you should be able to pitch it to the audience. That's when the episode sells.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
Can we relate or use case
Oh,
studies
is
to
it?
storytelling? I think yes, we can relate case studies to storytelling because they are more relatable. And some of the other
Huge.
sorry, yeah, no,
Yeah. Continue. Continue, please.
there was, and as I said, it should be real life, should be authentic and genuine. You're not fabricating a story.
Hmm.
The audience should get a
Absolutely.
message, and
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
the audience should get a feel that my story is genuine. They
Hmm.
should be, so the uh, out of this whole storytelling, be it recruiter or uh, buyer, is they are validating your credibility, your integrity, your genuinity. These are very important. These are the stories untold. I would, let me put it that
Correct.
way.
Correct.
Story in
Correct.
the story is actually the audience trying to assess these characters of a person. Only then you are actually helping him make a decision, or you are helping him buy something, or you are helping him recruiting. But ultimately, it is all boiling down to the decision making. You're making the other person's life easy. So how do you make it easy? Is by and articulating it in the right flow. That is where I somewhere said Netflix episodes matter, because this is going to, even a recruiting is not,
One.
it will be
Absolutely.
first
Absolutely.
shortlisting, and
Yeah.
with the human resource, then finally with the boss or whatever.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
So if one has to go through all these steps, one has to have the stories, relevant stories for the relevant
Absolutely.
stakeholders. So
Absolutely. In
that's
fact,
it.
I had a couple of a few. Sorry. Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, go
I
ahead,
was
go ahead,
just
Prakash.
thinking of
No, I was
sharing.
just cautioning on the time, nothing
Oh,
else.
yeah. 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 No, we have 10 more minutes. No. Something that you mentioned, yes. Yeah, but in terms of mistakes you mentioned about regression, see, I'll just tell you a situation. I mean, there are some people who don't talk. We have a problem like that. They don't talk enough about themselves, or don't talk. Not, it's not a question of talking about themselves. You just have to talk about what you did. I mean, you have done something. If you have really done it, you should be knowing why you did it, why you did something like this. You put something. So you have to get into the details. Now there are some people, you ask them something, they will not go into the details. Now there are some people, some candidates, who if you ask something, They will tell about everything. They'll talk, but they will not talk about what is the matter, what is exactly required. As you said, digression. So that is another challenge. So the importance is for you to, as whether you are a salesman or whether you are a candidate, you need to be listening also really well as to what is being asked. You present your story in a manner and in a way that you are responding specifically to what is being asked. You need to know what details to be told. As Kumareshan also mentioned, that in the first 60 seconds at least, you should be in a position to capture the attention. In the first 60 or seconds or 120 seconds, if you are going beating around the bush, you are done for. I mean, we have lost interest. There are five candidates to be met, and the first 2 minutes, some of us will be patient. We'll try to nudge you and bring you and all that into the right frame of mind so that you are but more often than not, everybody is so stressed for time. If you don't know as to what the person is trying to ask, then the person is going to think that you don't know enough about my industry, or you don't know what you we are not in the same page. That's what is the. And then any other question that keeps coming is kind of going to reinforce that feeling that, okay, this fellow doesn't fit in, this fellow. So that it's a so we need to be listening very attentively as to what is being asked, and present it in a manner, enough details to show that you fully know this, whatever is what is being asked for. You know the story, you are not presenting the story, but at the same time you are not flooding it so that the person doesn't know what you're talking about. So being specific to the requirement, and the same thing I guess works in sales also. You
Yeah, yeah.
start going and talking about all the features, all the benefits, it's of no irrelevance. Knowing how to connect with what the person, whether at an individual level, what are the specific challenge, is very crucial. That's what I would like to say. Hmm?
Yeah, thanks,
So
Prakash.
good now. So what is there any
Should we also have
we
some
can ask? Yeah, I
chat or
know,
ask?
but I guess only
Yeah,
Professor Lakshman is. I mean, anyone interested in
has some
asking any
questions.
questions? Please feel free to type in their questions in the comment section. Or are is there a way to find out how many people are there? There are 8 people, I think, there. So anybody is
Yeah,
interested?
yeah, I'm just checking on it.
8 people are present, I think, no? Attending.
Yeah, correct, correct.
So, good. So thanks, Kumareshan, for joining in. I think Professor Lakshman has some valid questions. Probably we can.
Somebody has a question. I think. Does
Oh, is there?
third-party stories help the client to make their of buying? I
Oh,
think there is
Aniket is
some
here. That's third
Aniket
party.
Kale.
Oh, that's an interesting question.
You know him, Prakash?
Yeah, yeah, I know him. You know pretty well. Yes.
So
You
let
want me
me
to take
answer
it?
this question.
You are answering?
Yeah, you can also
Go ahead.
one
No,
point
you
to
go ahead,
make.
then I'll join it. You go ahead.
No, no, yeah, yeah. My answer to Aniket's thing is stories do help, but personal stories help a lot. That's my only quick answer. Then maybe Prakash could add on to it.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to share this story. So this is an amazing story. Actually, how I met Aniket, and Aniket stays in Pune, and he comes from the what shall we call timeshare background. He was working in some very great companies in timeshare. Mahindra Holiday was working in Middle East
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all. So in one of the events that we were doing, he he asked some questions, and that's how we got connected. So what really, so it's a story in itself. What really impressed me about, it could have impressed anyone, is the kind of track record he had. He had an amazing track record of selling high ticket timeshare and related products, timeshare, and there was something else. So those kind of, what should we call, not concrete products, but this kind of related, whether timeshare, holiday resorts, those kind of thing. So but
Concepts. Yeah, yeah,
concept,
yeah.
concept,
Base
concept,
selling.
concept,
Base
concept,
selling.
high ticket concept selling, if you can put it that way. So
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it was a real thrill. Then he reached out to me, and it was a real thrill interacting with him, understanding his details, and I kind of, he had kind of experimented with setting up on his own, and which didn't work out, and then COVID happened, so there was a huge gap. So I kind of nudged him towards, helped him, should we say, over a few rounds of discussions, and he was able to zero in on what industry to get into after a gap. So he was unable to.
Okay.
So at that point in time, he was able to take some steps, and now he is doing phenomenally well in the real estate space. So Anik,
Oh, good. Great.
he's doing huge, 2 crore, 3 crore, that kind of. He only talks in crores. He's selling those kind of flats for 3 crore, 4 crore flats. So, so Aniket's story, if he can share this story, I mean, anywhere he goes, and if he shares his own personal story, there is nothing better than that. So his turnaround, his experience, his turnaround, and how he is able to doing phenomenally well now. So no, this was why I
Good, good.
brought
Great
it up,
news.
was that in terms of candidate stories, I was thinking I'll share this if he had an opportunity to. Now, since he himself asked it, I thought, okay, why not mention this? So Aniket,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe
Good,
someday
good. Great.
we'll be able to call you onto the stage and discuss with you. But for now,
Sir.
for more stories, now we need to develop case stories and relevant to Indian situation. Oh, what is
Something else from Professor
professor is
IKS.
asking? Executive needs to
He said we need to develop and stories relevant for Indian situation. Yeah, Indian situation are important and they are the most relevant ones, I would say. So what is available is enough because yes, because I can only vouch for my stories. No, because there is very less of storytelling in sales and in recruiting. That is the idea behind why we created this episode of art storytelling as a. So that's it, Professor. Any other questions? I think we have 2-3 minutes left before, and if Prakash would want to give some takeaways from the conversation over the last 50 odd minutes. I don't see any other questions.
okay.
Let's wait.
Correct. So here, in terms of what Professor Lakshman also has mentioned, I see, when we are talking about Indian context, or it again depends upon what audience we are dealing with, right? I mean, if you are dealing with business heads of different industries, then probably we'll have to. I mean, we'll have to look at these kind of macro factors. But if on a individual level, see, obviously you'll have to customize the story based on who is on the other side. So depending upon the audience, you'll have to factor in whether how much of whether it has to be Indianized or whether it has to be localized further. It sometimes nowadays Indian market itself is so diverse. What works in the north might not work in Bangalore, or what worked in the east might not work in a south market. So everywhere we need to understand the requirement, understand the audience, and customize
Yes,
accordingly.
one
So
more
let me just sum up. So here we are in
question.
the.
How storytelling in sales differ from product and service? I would say the storytelling, the basis of storytelling remains this is from Pavitra. So the basic is the same, be it a or a service. The only difference is, as Prakash said, in a service it is more like intangible stuff where you're trying to create a story around. And for example, if it is a car, the story and the customer can actually experience it in terms or test drive, etc., etc. So I think this is a question from Pavitra, and of course, Pavitra is my daughter, just for the benefit of Prakash.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, congrats, congrats,
thanks.
congratulations.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, you may sum it up.
so yeah, I guess yeah, just to add that depends upon the basic concept stays the same. Whether when we look at break it down to the basics, the storytelling, whether it is in hiring or whether it is in selling a product or a service, understanding the situation, seeing what is the transformation, as Kumresh and yourself mentioned, seeing the transformation or what was the transformation, what was the change that was brought in, and what was the benefit to the customer, or how did everyone benefit. So that is this three-step process to sum it all. Well, here we have the first episode of our hiring and sales talk, and we discussed about how why storytelling is so compelling in sales, why storytelling is so important for candidates, not just sales candidates, for anyone who is in the hiring space, any interaction, any business, any conversation, any relationship. If you are trying to build trust, if you are trying to influence the someone, best way to go about is stories. As I mentioned it initially, facts tell, but it is the stories which do the influencing. Stories do the selling part. So as long as you're able to understand what is the kind of requirement, what is the need, and present the story accordingly. And when I come to stories, when I just would like to reiterate that when as a candidate, what you have done, whatever your what is your career been, what are the tasks that you have done, try to keep a good track, try to keep a track of it. Don't try to undermine yourself thinking that, oh, I am only this and I do cut and pasting, or I do this on a day-to-day basis. What is it that is required of you? Try to go a little more deeper, or take somebody's help, take your mentor's help in framing your the kind of task that you. It is extremely important. That is where you are going to start your story from. As Kumareshan mentioned it, stories are nothing but shared experiences. If you are able to share your experience in a authentic manner, in a honest manner, real manner, your job is done. You don't have to write melodramas. You don't write to write movie stories. No, the story when we are talking about here, based on your work, on your career, is about your experience, your day-to-day life, your challenges, your politics that you faced, your lack of resources, all that is part of your story. And in spite of all that, you are able to achieve something, you are able to deliver something. That is
One,
the story. That is that. For that to happen, you need to track what
no,
you're
I
doing.
was
Yes, Kumareshan, you
only
go ahead.
wanting to add one more summing point or summary point is whatever story is telling, be it in the recruiting or in the sales space, I would recommend to be a storyteller. Like, you don't have to, one does, will I be getting or will I be recruited or will I actually or not? While telling a story, be natural and don't worry about the result. That's
Result,
the essence
absolutely.
of actual storytelling, because at the
Well,
back of
yeah.
the mind, be it in recruiting, the candidate will always five waiting outside. Am I the one? Yeah,
Will I get to?
forget about all that. Similarly, as a salesperson, when you're at a business call or a sales pitch or a story stakeholder, don't worry about the result. Just be dashing. You be natural. You be realistic, and just dashing. Our next episode will We'll
Absolutely.
rephrase it as that
Talk
too,
about.
something like that. Yeah, maybe that's an important
So
message
great.
to the audience. Yeah.
To be natural, to, I guess, I mean, right from that bygone days, people have been telling to disconnect the result from your task, what you're doing. So even in storytelling, don't worry about what is how, whether how you are going to be received. Just tell
Yeah.
your story. With that, let us end it.
How
Let us
we are
not
going to be received, or
keep
how we are
people
going to be
hanging. Already.
no, no. One other last line.
Correct,
How
correct,
you're
correct.
going to be does not matter. The story matters.
Absolutely.
So
The story matters. Your honesty
I
matters. Your
keep talking.
authentic,
So
being
let me
authentic
stop
matters.
and let's close the session for the evening. Thanks. Thanks.
Yes. So if you liked it, please feel drop a good message there. Drop a comment or share it with us, with your friends or contacts or colleagues or whatever. We really want to have this conversation with myself and Kumreshan, and we would like more and more people to get involved. We will take other topics. We will discuss about careers and about sales, about everything related to work, life, and profession. So we will continue these conversations. After all, what is life if not conversations that we have with
Not
people? If you
stories.
have good conversations, your life is made.
If
That's
not
what
stories.
that's what I would say. If not stories, absolutely.
And we want to create more
Yeah,
story.
absolutely. So that's it.
No, our last
More
line is we want to
storytellers,
create
and
more
we'll have
story.
more. Great. Fantastic. Fantastic conversation. So great. Nice getting connecting with you. Nice. I enjoyed this 1 hour. We look forward to more such hours on a Tuesday evening or a Wednesday evening, whichever is convenient. And we'll keep coming back. Thank you, conversation.
Thanks,
Let's
Vikas.
close it and
Thanks, the
end it
audience. Thank you. Bye bye.
100%. Yeah.